gets thrown a lot around these days, a phrase, free energy. And it talks about free energy a little bit.
As long as it don't cost $538.
Yeah.
Free energy is this. Here's your house. And here's a box in your front lawn. And all the energy you need comes to your house every day, and you don't pay for it. Is that a good definition of free energy?
Nice box.
Huh?
Nice box.
That would work. Free energy. Well, sometimes you think, here's my air conditioner sitting outside, right? Outside my house, just blowing steam, just turning, and I think, well, maybe if I would just hook a generator to that, since it's running anyway, if I hook a little generator to that to produce electricity, then I could run my house from the electricity I get from this machine that's sitting out in my front lawn making my house cool. What's wrong with that thinking?
I don't know, I missed the whole thing.
Yeah, well, let me go through it again. Here's your air conditioner sitting outside your house.
Okay.
It's running. It's running anyway, right? You're cooling your house down. Well, since it's running anyway, why don't I make the shaft come out the side here and run a generator? And then use the generator to feed electric to my house.
Because
What's wrong with that thinking?
the electricity from the house is powering the AC unit.
Yeah, it's going around in circles, isn't it? There's no energy source here. And it's what science called it. It says this, in a closed system. Then they draw a box and they call this a closed system. In a closed system, energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's the principle that says you can't do that. You can't create energy out of nothing. Right? You have to feed it in here from the outside to feed your house and all that. And whatever you feed in there you can use, and you'll lose some of it. So you can't use this energy to create more energy. This doesn't happen. Right? However, a closed system, now take for example the sun. The sun is a long way from here. So the sunlight comes every day and nobody pays for it. And you don't have to make any effort to make the sun come up. You don't have to go to J.P. Morgan or Chase to make a down payment for the sun for that day. The sunlight, this wind energy, we call them free energy. Well, they're free for us because we don't own, nobody owns the sun. J.P. Morgan doesn't own the sun, and he couldn't put a meter on it. All right? So we call that, but it really isn't free energy. The sun is slowly winding down. 1,000,000 years from now, the sun will collapse and be gone, and it really wasn't free. It came from somewhere else, we don't know where. It really isn't really free energy. Now, how does this idea of free energy work as far as manipulating humankind? If you know a source of energy that people really need, like, and here's the people that need it, and if you can put a little noose around it here and control it and make people pay for it, you can get rich. Right? And we work with that. Somebody makes a patent, and they discovered this patent. We call it intellectual property, or we call it real property. And somebody has a patent to make a certain drug, like Prozac. And everybody wants Prozac. Well, Prozac is easy to make. If you know the chemical composition, it could be made maybe for a dime. But the people that did all the research and the work to create it, the drug company, they have a patent on it. So this is what this is. This is a patent. And nobody can make it with them for 7 years. So for 7 years they can charge $200 for something that only costs 20 cents. And we justify that because it costs all that money to do the research to make it. So there is a reasonable justification from some point of view about this. But in the meantime, there's people out here who are dying and suffering from, I don't know if Prozac's really much good, but from depression or whatever you use Prozac for. But these people desperately need it. They don't need it to be comfortable. They need it to live a half-decent life. And you're charging them, you know, there's a lot of questions on morality coming up here. Can you, I mean, when does legality become immoral? When does something that's totally legal in our system become immoral?
When you get saved.
Huh?
When you get saved. No.
Well, what?
When you get saved. Immortal and mortal.
Yeah, that's,
You get saved.
they learn to know the difference between what's legal and what's moral. All right? All right, I'm talking about free energy. Now, what I'm going to say is that in this universe in which you live, in this world in which you're creating your experience, in this life that you live, there isn't anything such a thing as free energy. It does not exist. Nothing is free in that sense. You have to earn it. You have to do something in exchange to earn it. So here we are, we're in a universe where you have to earn. And if you don't earn your way, you're called a deadbeat, or you're called a no good, or you're called a, what do you call it, a bum on Skid Row. They don't want, there's some out there on Skid Row, they absolutely refuse to do a day, they just don't want to. However they can live another day, they do, and they do it on principle. They don't do it because they're stupid. They don't because they just don't. They want to be out of the system. They don't care if somebody else takes good. They just don't want to be involved. Something's happened to them, and we think that something has broken in them. Well, maybe it has. I sort of tend to think it has. But maybe they're more closer to some kind of reality than, maybe that really isn't so. Maybe there's another thought here, and this is what I want to suggest to you. I want to suggest to you, since you have to live in a world where you have to perform, if you're not willing to perform, whoa, there's a bottom 20% of bottom feeders that you will end up in, and you will be a very unhappy soul.
Loser.
Loser. If you want to be in a relationship with a woman and make her give everything and you be the taker, I promise you it's not going to work. It'll run along for maybe even 7 years, and then she'll put her foot down and say, this is enough of this. I will not live this way, not another day. I will not live by you being the taker and me being the giver. And that's it. I won't live. I'm worth more than that. And out I go. Right? If you don't take responsibility, if you don't ask, well, how do you feel about this, sweetheart? Say, woman, just do this. I don't know. I don't even remember to do that to men. What does a woman say? A woman says, woman, do this. That's what a man says. What does a woman say?
Man, do this.
I don't know. I've never heard it. It's never been said to me.
Yeah, do it or you eat it, do it or you sleep on the
Do it else. Huh? Do it or sleep on the couch. Well,
and the dog.
it works both ways.
It works both ways.
That works with performance is, and so we live in a world of performance, And what we need to live in the world of performance, we need to learn the grace of God. And we need to learn love, because love and grace do not measure by performance. And we contrast love and grace to performance. And we learn to forgive. Forgiveness becomes so wonderful when you have really, why does forgiveness become so wonderful? It's because you really did screw up and there's no way to fix it. That's when you need to be forgiven. There's no way out. Have you been forgiven for something yet in your life? I sure have. Mostly by God, but sometimes by people, you know. So forgiveness is really, but you know, here's the mystery. I won't take long on this today because I am not really going there the way I think I want to, but nevertheless, let me do this anyway, because I really do. We're being given a handle on understanding how to live in a body like nobody's ever been given. Let me show you. Let me show you how I see this, and see if this doesn't light up your landscape. When you go and you work in a bar for 4 hours, and you see all kinds of people, and you have to jump through hoops, but it's a privilege because you can earn your way, you can pay your rent. What's a wonderful thing to be able to pay your rent. It's really wonderful to be able to pay your debt, isn't it? Yeah. I love it. I'm glad when I got money to do it. Not quite so glad when I don't. But I don't wish for my debts or my obligations to go away. I just ask for more energy to meet them. Knowing God don't put nothing on me He doesn't enable me to do. But now, here's the contrast. Let's be like Freud. Let's go back and ask these questions from the beginning. Ask, well, what about performance? What about non-performance? What about I can't do it? What about I'm not good enough? What about, whoa, I'm wonderful. God, I really did good. What about, you know, the little girl here drumming and wanting her daddy's approval? Well, what's all that about? Let's go back and ask those questions now, those same questions. You can ask them in this world, and it's not hard to get an answer. Is it? You live with a man and you don't want to live with him anymore? It's not hard to get at it. It's right there in your face. You work for a place and they mistreat you long enough, you say, hell, I don't want to work for you anymore. I'm going to pay my rent next year, but I'm not going to work for you another day. You mistreat me. You fire yourself. Right? It's right in your face. It's real. It's immediate. You don't have to wait till next year. Life in this world is very immediate and very, very instructive. But let's go back to the world that we came from in the beginning. What about this world? This world. What was this that we call God? What was this that we call the all-knowing, the all-being? What was it thinking when it created you? Let's ask the same questions. Ask the same questions. Is He going to charge you for energy? Huh? I don't think so. I don't think so. He's going to say, well, you can grow and live and be, but you got to pay for everything you get. Is that what He said? Huh? How do we know that that's not what He said? How do you know that when God created you with a thought, and the first moment of your beginning, and the first thing you felt from Him, you felt something in here, and that's imprinted, like Freud says, and affected all of your existence down through worlds and ages, untold millennia of time in your great evolution. You can go back and remember this feeling that you had when you came out. What was that feeling? Well, you get quiet now. You've been here long enough. You've experienced love. You've experienced grace. You've experienced loss. You've experienced rejection. People that didn't want you. People that loved you. You know it all now. Go back and feel and say to yourself, I can feel. God, I can know you. I can know what you're really like. I don't have to be fooled by systems, political, religious, or otherwise. I can know the truth. I know. And then go back and feel this. And what does it say? Well, I know what it says. It says, my son, I created you and nothing Everything that I have, everything I own is all yours, and nothing will ever be withheld from you. That's what he said.